Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to another game with Quantic State versus, yes, another barcode man here on Cloud Kingdom. State spawning as the red Zerg on the bottom left-hand side of the map, meanwhile barcode man spawning on the top right-hand side of the map as, red Protoss on the bottom left-hand, blue Zerg on the top right-hand side. This is a PvZ on Cloud Kingdom, and with so many games of StarCraft having been played, we can pretty much make a lot of early predictions in terms of what we're seeing. Similar to how professional grandmaster chess players play chess, the first 5 or 10 or even 20 moves seem to be very, very lightning speed, very fast, as people know what the other player is trying to do, and they're just trying to set themselves up for victory. That's what we're going to see now in perhaps the first 5 to 7 minutes of this game. Both of these players just trying to set up themselves for victory, as opposed to trying to go for that immediate kill that seemed to be so common back in 2011. As the game has evolved, more players have figured out how to defend against those early pressure tactics. And at the same time, these players have also gotten better at those early pressure tactics, making it so that those are not completely out of the realm of possibility. So far, you can see that State has moved around. He has not seen a spawning pool yet come in from the barcode Zerg player yet, so he wants to make sure he sees something come in, as all he's doing right now is simply disrupting the mining. By taking or by occupying one of those mineral patches, it forces a drone to go from one mineral patch to another, and all of those small differences do tend to add up over time. We are going to now see State set up a pylon on the low ground. Meanwhile, he does have a forge up on the high ground here, so I'm not 100% sure what exactly he was expecting to see. Normally, forge fast expansion does have that forge down here, but we are going to see a pylon now down here as the drone making his hatchery here at the third base. Drone now shooing its way down. The probe will take a small bit of damage there. We may see another pylon warped in. Nope, no additional pylon warped in. As that hatchery here at the third was actually cancelled in favor of this hatchery here at the natural. Curious move. Quick way to lose 75 resources. But at the same time, the Zerg player may not want to get up on 3 bases that quickly. Perhaps he scouted something that he didn't want to see and was a bit concerned. Perhaps not seeing a forge on the front door, and until clicking on that photon cannon, realizing that it was a photon cannon instead of a pylon, thought that there could be perhaps an earlier gateway. Now at this stage, I do expect a whole bunch of drones to be trained up by the Zerg player. No establishment of gas, just really going to be going all out in terms of economy in order to set himself up for perhaps a very strong roach aggression. Meanwhile, we could be seeing State going into the one gate into the robotics facility after the cybernetics core and getting up an observer and an immortal. We should also see perhaps a couple sentries come in as well, as there is one probe that is sitting down here by this pylon. So far, one gateway has yet to be completed, so it may just be a little bit of time before this gateway is cancelled. And then once this gateway is cancelled, a cybernetics core could go in its place. Taking a look at this, the Zerg player is currently setting up on 2 queens. I do expect that queen number to grow to the 5 or even 6 count, as we do see the Zerglings doing a very diligent job looking for any proxy pylons, making sure that State is unable to do any backdoor play. We are also seeing 2 probes on gas instead of the typical full saturation at 3. And with this means that he's going to be much more mineral intensive than gas intensive. We do see the double gateways up here on the front door. One zealot will be holding position here, and one zealot with a photon cannon on the front door can take out a lot of Zerglings, as we now see a double chrono boost of stalkers. Take a look back over here. The Zerg has spotted and seen that there is double gas here inside the main. Only 2 probes on gas each. Meanwhile, State may need to establish up these 2 geysers rather quickly, as he should end up falling behind in just a little bit. Harvester count is 34 probes versus 37, and 37 always more than 34, especially when you consider the diminishing returns for State, as he is only running up on 2 bases. Now chrono boosting out more stalkers once again. So these two stalkers will make their way out here in just a moment. And as these two stalkers make their way out, I believe this overlord is going to get one final look inside the base before he does end up supply blocking himself back at home. Now the stalkers off over here, beautifully played, was able to get off some easy shots onto those Zerglings, but now this is going to be a little bit of a problem as the stalkers trying to engage against those Zerglings. Those Zerglings do have a little bit of natural regeneration and will be able to get back up to full hit points in just a moment, as the stalkers still need a little bit more time before those shields start regenerating as they are now. Cybernetics Core is researching that warp gate tech. We are going into a sentry, so double sentry. That is going to be a large amount of gas, and State is now running up on 4 gas. It looks as though double saturation or triple saturation on 3 of them, double saturation on 1. That should mean his gas is somewhere in the 500 range, I believe. Yeah, almost in the 500 range. About 400 right now, as we still see more and more units still wandering around here. Now, take a look at the tech path of State. He is currently getting a lot of upgrades, going both a robotics facility, a Twilight Council, and level 1 weapons upgrade. We'll see whether or not that, if those upgrades will pay off for him. We are seeing an earlier Warp Prism play, and this does make sense based upon the number of gateways. Actually, there's only 4 gateways, so this early Warp Prism play doesn't make that much sense to me. You normally want 5 or 6 gateways, and then also an Immortal in order to do a little bit of micro to keep your Immortal alive and keep their DPS up against those roaches. Zerglings now are going to be trying to file in here in just a moment. Is it going to be enough? Oh, we see a lift up here as there is 2 force fields quickly to make sure that those Zerglings are unable to get by. So far, these stalkers may get off a lot of damage over here, but there is already a group of roaches down here at the at the 3rd base, and then meanwhile apparently doesn't believe that he was actually from the USA. State actually is from the US. I believe he's from Northern California, but when he was staying, last time I met him, he was at the he was in the Carlsbad area, staying at the Quantic house. Anyways, let's get back into this. Overseer now flying around here. We are going to see this Warp Prism now make a bit of a drop to take down some of these drones, and this could be a bit of damage here, but the roaches are now already coming over, and now we are going to see a move up onto the high ground straight as the Zealots taking down drones as quickly as possible. There you go, drones are getting taken down here. Let's see, no armor upgrades as the stalkers are now making their way over, and a bit of natural regeneration from those drones, actually giving them a little bit longer life there, causing a bit of problems as now the beautiful Warp Prism micro once again coming back in. Are the units going to be able to make their way back down? Is State? Yes, he is going to be going in for another drop here and just causing problems all over the place. You can see that the stalkers are in a very good position. Stalkers pretty much with very, very limited surface area, not allowing those Zerglings to get off many attacks. The roaches are now going to try to test that front door and quickly realize with the photon cannon and perhaps one bad force field, all of those roaches would just get stuck like fish in a barrel, and we all know how that analogy goes. Warp Prism now being forced to retreat from a queen taking care of her hatchery like she should. And we are now seeing a 4-base Zerg going up against a 3-base Protoss. It is going to be up to State now to decide whether or not he wants to expand here or if he wants to expand here. Normally, I would say Zerg, he would want to expand into this location here, since it's only a hop, skip, and a jump away from his opponent's 4th base, meaning he can expand into his opponent's direction and actually put pressure on a place where the Zerg player doesn't want any pressure at all. If he expands down into here, this is too much of that yin-yang maneuver where you're expanding away from your opponent and hoping that the game will go a bit longer, as we are now seeing Dark Templars warp in. Roach Zergling now making their way across the map. And we are going into a hive tech with a spire already coming in. Will we see that in standard Infestor Broodlord, which has become so common in that Zerg versus Protoss matchup? Warp Prism looks like it is going to be going for another sort of drop here in just a second. Will we see perhaps some Stalkers warped in and then picked back up before unloading down here? I do believe that will be the case, as you see the Warp Prism currently in a power mode or phase mode. Nope, decides not to warp in anything, as we are going to see a hatchery perhaps being built right underneath, yes, in a perfect location there by State to go ahead and try to stop that hatchery. So it is going to be 4 bases to 4. The main base is starting to mine out down to below 250 resources in some of them. We see a cancellation on that hatchery there as the drone does get taken down. And now where is this Warp Prism going to travel to next? Alright, the Zerglings and Roaches still without any upgrades. Meanwhile, we will soon be at 3-3 upgrades for the Protoss ground army. And that is a scary thing to fathom. Protoss is going to have such superior upgrades that even though Zerg has a stronger overall supply count, I don't believe he'll actually be able to come out ahead. The Zerglings now trying to swarm their way in, unable to do so. Stalkers on the other side, able to get off some easy shots onto some of those retreating Roaches. And now the Immortal and Sentry composition here may actually be able to do a squeeze play on this army. This would be absolutely huge. Here we go, as there is that squeeze play. Roaches trying to make their way in, unable to do much of anything. And that is a lot of wasted force fields, but at the same time, it will be a whole bunch of wasted Roaches essentially trading energy for units. And the Sentries, I believe this was the first time they're actually actively engaging. So many units now getting taken down. Stalkers now blinking forward. Dark Templars have joined in and then merged into Archons and pushed their way through in order to take down some of those force fields as well. Archons now are on the field with 2-0 upgrades, soon to be 3-0 upgrades, already able to one-shot any of those Zerglings, and that splash damage will start to add up in just a moment. Overseer now making their way along the left side here. What is it going to spot? I don't believe there's any Nidus network, so there's no real chance that one Overseer is going to be able to do much of anything. Zerglings now trying to make their way in, and the Archon getting off some easy shots on some of those units, getting off some damage there as the Immortals trying to pick off more of those Zerglings. Here we go, Photon Cannon in position, Dark Templar now trying to warp in. And what is going to be happening here? That Dark Templar should end up getting a lot of kills, already up to 3. Is it going to be enough as the front door here, that one pylon has been taken down. Zerglings now running around, taking down the probes, but we see a base race here as Dark Templars are able to make their way in. Zealots now quickly going after that Roach Warren. If the Roach Warren does in fact fall, no more Roaches for our Zerg players. Zerglings now trying to make their way in, able to take down one Photon Cannon, but that is pretty much it, as the Photon Cannon's able to hold off more units again. Zealots and Sentries coming in. Dark Templars a real source of DPS here, as the Dark Templars now going after the next critical building, taking down a spawning pool, and no spawning pool, no Roach Warren could spell a lot of troubles. Infestors, however, now making their way in, and this will clean up the rest of this drop, as Infested Terrans and Fungal Growth both the counter to the Dark Templar and Zealots. Alright, let's see. We have 6 Immortals at this point in the game. Immortals very effective at dealing large amounts of damage to those Roaches, as we are now also seeing a lot of Spine Crawlers being added here. At this point, I am expecting to see Infestor Broodlord coming in from the Zerg player, since that has been the standard composition of choice. Meanwhile, State has yet to get up his Stargate in order to get that mothership. There's those force fields. Infested Terrans could be popping out here in just a moment. Infested Terrans are upgraded 1-1, but with Guardian Shield, the upgrades have pretty much been neutralized, and on top of that, State does have 3-0 upgrades on all of his units here. He should be able to whittle away in this war of attrition. No, not a real back and forth. It just felt like State has reached critical mass, but no, what is this? A challenge of Infested Terran. But Infested Terran are all on timed life, and they will get taken down here in a moment. One Immortal is still in the group here. It looks like it could get taken down. There it goes. But not before the rest of the Infested Terrans themselves are destroyed. Alright, that is a whole bunch of Infestors, and they need a whole bunch of Infested Terrans to do anything else here. State in good position as the Infestors are out of energy, able to get off many fungal growths to challenge this ground army. Coming back into the natural expansion, Dark Templars were able to actually snipe down the Spire that was upgrading to a Greater Spire, and these Dark Templars are just having a field day inside the natural expansion. It looks as though the Infestation Pit may get taken out here in just a second. Stalkers now trying to retreat. Will they be able to get away? That is the question, as all the infested Terrans going after Stalkers and Immortals, not really able to go after the Sentries since they are a bit out of range. State now following this up with a beautiful blink to finish off any of those retreating units. And now the Infestors look like they want to turn around for a bit of Protoss blood. Zealots still going to town here, but no GG at all. State takes this game here on Cloud Kingdom. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.